Welcome back, dear listener, to the final part of our tale. Settle deeply now into your comfort. Let the weight of the day release from your shoulders. We return one last time to Newmansland, to that old stone house by the sea, where mysteries are gathering like snow on windowsills, where Christmas is coming. The house was already awake when I opened my eyes. I could smell bread baking, and I could hear Rookie's voice from somewhere below about something. I stretched slowly, letting each muscle remember itself, then made my way downstairs. The library had been transformed overnight. The Christmas tree was no longer bare. Sophie had decorated it just as she'd promised, but with such restraint and beauty that it took my breath away. Small wooden ornaments hung from the branches, animals mostly, things carved by hand, old and simple. Dried orange slices, threaded on string, glowed like small suns among the green needles. And candles, real beeswax candles in little metal holders, waited to be lit, tiny and perfect. In the kitchen, I found the others. Rookie was practically vibrating with excitement, circling Sophie's legs as she moved from counter to stove to table. "Did you see?" she demanded when she saw me. "Did you see the tree and the presents? 4 presents, Rizo. 1 for each of us. Can we open them now?" "This evening," Sophie said, "after the sun sets, on the solstice. We wait for the darkness. That's when the magic is strongest." Sophie poured herself coffee, cut bread still warm from the oven, and sat at the table. "The solstice," she said softly, more to herself than to us. "The turning point. The darkest moment before the light begins its return. My grandmother used to say the solstice was a threshold, a doorway, that things could cross over if they needed to, if they wanted to." She took a sip of her coffee, her gaze moving to the stone statue on the mantel. Sophie lit candles throughout the house. Not just a few, many, dozens, until Newmansland glowed from within like a lantern, like a beacon, like a star fallen to earth. She made a simple dinner, soup and bread as always, but this time she added something special. A bottle of cider she'd been saving, she told us, for a meaningful occasion. "And what could be more meaningful than this?" she asked, pouring the golden liquid into a glass. "The solstice, the turning, the longest night." We gathered in the library as the darkness completed itself outside. Sophie lit the candles on the tree, carefully, staying close to watch them. The little flames danced and flickered, making the ornaments cast moving shadows on the walls. The effect was magical. The tree seemed alive with light, seemed to be breathing, seemed to be something more than wood and needles and sap. It seemed to be a doorway, a portal, a bridge between the human world and something older, wilder, more true. Newman positioned himself directly in front of the tree, sitting very still, very straight, his blue eyes half closed, meditating perhaps, or praying, or simply being Newman,
which was its own form of magic. "I think," Sophie said, settling into the reading chair with her cider, "it's time to open the presents."
Rookie was at the tree before she'd finished speaking, her tail up, her tiger-striped body quivering with anticipation. "Patience," Termi counseled in his steady way, but even he moved closer, his solid presence barely concealing his curiosity. Sophie picked up the first package, the smallest one, and read the label she'd written in careful script. "Poor Rookie." She placed it in front of her, and Rookie looked at Sophie as if asking permission. Sophie nodded. Rookie tore into it with the enthusiasm of youth, paper flying, string unraveling, and then, "Oh," she breathed. It was a small crystal bowl, no bigger than a teacup, but when Sophie filled it with water from the kitchen, it caught the candlelight and threw rainbows across the walls. Water and light dancing together. It was perfect. "For your collection," Sophie said. "I saw it at the market and thought of you immediately. The woman said it was very old, that it had belonged to someone who loved beautiful things, that it had been waiting for someone who would truly appreciate it." Rookie touched the water gently with one paw, watching the ripples catch the light, the reflections dance and shimmer. Her eyes were wide with wonder. "Poor Termi," Sophie read next, lifting the largest package. Termi approached with his characteristic steady grace and waited as Sophie unwrapped it for him. Inside was a thick blanket, hand-woven in shades of amber and gold and deep russet red, colors that matched his ginger fur perfectly. It was the kind of blanket that spoke of warmth and protection, of long afternoons in sunlight, of guardian dreams. "For your watching post," Sophie said quietly, "so you can keep us safe in comfort. You who guard us all so faithfully." Termi touched the blanket with his nose, then settled onto it immediately. His rumbling purr filled the room, loud and rusty and utterly content. "Poor Rizo," Sophie said, and my ears perked forward. I couldn't help but speak. "That's me! My present!" My gift was a book. Not a large book, a small one, old, with a leather cover worn soft by time and touch. I couldn't read the title, of course, but Sophie opened it for me, and I saw that every page was filled with drawings. Plants and animals and landscapes, sketches of Brittany from long ago, and cats. Many, many cats. "It's a naturalist's journal," Sophie explained, "from the 1800s. Someone who lived near here, who observed and drew everything they saw. I thought you might like it. You who watch so carefully. You who notice everything. You who must speak of what you see." She was right. I did like it. Very much. I spoke my gratitude aloud. "It's perfect. Thank you." And then there was one package left, the one that mattered most. "Poor Newman," Sophie said softly, her voice catching slightly. She placed it in front of him, and for a long moment, he simply looked at it. Then, with great deliberation, he reached out one cream-colored paw and pulled at the string. The package fell open, revealing a blanket. Not new, very old, in fact. Wool, hand-woven in shades of cream and pale blue. Colors that almost exactly matched Newman's coloring. It was worn in places, soft with use,
clearly well loved by someone, sometime, somewhere. "The woman at the market gave this to me," Sophie said quietly, kneeling beside Newman. "I didn't ask for it. I was looking at the statue, and she disappeared into the back of her stall and brought this out. She said—" Sophie paused, her voice catching, her hand reaching out to touch Newman's head gently. "She said it had belonged to a traveler, someone who had journeyed far. She said if I ever met a cream-colored cat with blue eyes who seemed to carry the weight of distances, I should give him this. She said he would know it. She said it would remind him that every journey has a purpose, and every traveler finds home." Newman stood and walked onto the blanket. He circled once, twice, 3 times, then settled down onto it, kneading it gently with his paws, and he closed his blue eyes. And we knew this was connected to his story, to wherever he'd come from before the train, to whatever journey had brought him and Sophie together, to the mystery that was Newman himself. Sophie knelt beside him and stroked his thick cream fur gently. "We came a long way together, didn't we, mon ami?" she whispered. "And now we're home."
We sat together in the candlelit room, the 4 cats and the woman, as the night deepened outside. The snow had stopped and the sky had cleared, and through the windows we could see stars appearing. So many stars, cold and bright and eternal. Sophie poured herself more cider. Rookie curled up beside her crystal bowl, occasionally touching the water to watch the light dance. Termi settled deeper into his amber blanket, his guardian dreams beginning, small sounds escaping him as he watched over territories in other realms. I sat near my book, speaking softly to myself about the drawings I saw, naming the plants and animals. And Newman lay on his old blanket, a sound like contentment itself, like home itself, like everything that matters in the world, distilled into a single, rumbling frequency. "Listen," Sophie said suddenly. We all went still. From outside, from somewhere in the direction of the garden, came a sound. Not loud, not frightening, but clear and unmistakable. Footsteps in the snow. Newman's blue eyes opened. He stood, stepped off his blanket, and walked to the back door, and he waited. Sophie rose slowly from her chair. She walked to the door where Newman sat. She looked down at him, and he looked up at her, and something passed between them. Understanding, trust, permission. The bond forged on that train journey, strengthened by every day since. She opened the door. The night air rushed in, cold and clean and full of stars. And there, at the edge of the garden, in the place where the stone statue could see, if statues could see, stood a creature. It was large, larger than a dog, but not quite a dog, not quite a wolf either. Something between, something other. Its coat was pale like moonlight, like mist, like the space between dreaming and waking. And its eyes were kind, ancient and kind, and full of recognition. Newman walked out into the snow. He walked straight to the creature without hesitation, without fear. And when he reached it,
the creature lowered its great head, and Newman touched his nose to the creature's nose. And something happened. We felt it from where we stood, a shift in the air, a change in the quality of existence, as if a door had opened, as if a circle had completed, as if something that had been broken was now whole again.
The creature, and we understood now that it was what Argente had spoken of, what the footprints had promised, spoke. Not in words exactly, but we heard it nonetheless. We all heard it, even Sophie. "I came to see if you were happy," it said. "I came to see if you had found what you needed." Newman's purr grew louder, deeper, filling the night. "I am happy," he replied. "I have found it." "Then I have done what I came to do," the creature said. "I have kept watch. I have remembered. I have followed your journey across the miles, across the train tracks, across all the distance that brought you here. And now I can rest." "Who are you?" Sophie whispered from the doorway, her voice full of wonder. The creature turned its kind eyes to her. "I am the guardian of lost things," it said. "I am the keeper of the ways home. I am the one who remembers what others forget." Newman was mine once, long ago, before his journey began. I was his companion before time and distance separated you both, before you found each other, before the train carried you here together. But he was needed elsewhere, with you, Sophie, and so he went. And I have watched from afar, making sure he was well, making sure he was loved, making sure the journey was worth taking. "And now?" Sophie asked, tears shining in her eyes. "Now I see that he is more than well. He is home. He has family. He has purpose. He has you." The creature's gaze moved to include all of us, Rookie and Termi and me, gathered in the doorway. "He has everything a soul needs. The journey was worth taking. The distance was worth crossing." "Will you go?" Newman asked. "I will rest," the creature replied. "My watching is done. My vigil is complete. But I leave you a gift, old friend. I leave you the statue, the stone guardian. It will hold a piece of me, a piece of what I was, a piece of what we were together before your journey. It will watch over this house, over your family, over all who live here. It will keep you safe, as I have kept watch over you." The creature bent its head once more, touching Newman gently, and then it stepped back, and back, and back. And as it stepped backward, it began to fade, not disappearing exactly, more like becoming part of the night itself, part of the snow and the stars and the ancient dark, part of the world's memory of magic and mystery and things that exist between the seen and unseen. And then it was gone.
Newman stood for a long moment in the snow, looking at the place where the creature had been. Then he turned and walked back to the house, back to us,
back to the warmth and light and love that waited. Sophie knelt down and gently lifted him, something she rarely did, something she knew he rarely allowed. But tonight, he permitted it. She held him close, his cream-colored fur against her cheek, and they stood there in the doorway between inside and outside, between past and present, between what was and what is. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for choosing to come with me. Thank you for the train journey. Thank you for every day since. Thank you for staying." She carried him back inside and placed him gently on his blanket. He settled down immediately, circling once and then curling into himself, his cream form perfectly at peace, his blue eyes slowly closing. She closed the door softly, sealing out the cold, sealing in the warmth. And we all returned to our spots in the candle-lit library, the cats and the woman, together on the longest night of the year. On the mantel, the stone statue seemed to glow slightly in the firelight. And perhaps it did. Perhaps a piece of the Guardian had indeed entered it. Perhaps it would watch over us, as promised, for all the years to come. The candles on the tree burned low. Sophie carefully extinguished them one by one. She banked the fire in the wood stove. She stood for a moment, looking at us all, her family of cats, her companions, her small, perfect world. "Bonne nuit, mes amours," she whispered. "Joyeux Noël." And then she went to bed, leaving us in the peaceful darkness, in the gentle afterglow of magic accomplished, of circles completed, of homes found, and guardians blessed, and love recognized. Rookie fell asleep beside her crystal bowl, dreaming perhaps of water and light. Termi dozed on his amber blanket, his dreams full of guardian visions, his tribe safe and protected. Newman slept deeply on his blanket, traveling perhaps in his dreams back to the place he'd come from, back to the time before the train, before Sophie, back to when he'd had a different life. But secure in the knowledge that this life, this home, and this family was where he belonged now, that the journey had been worth it, that he was loved. And I stayed awake a little longer, as I often do, watching, remembering, holding the story in my heart, speaking softly to myself about what I'd witnessed. The longest night, the solstice, the turning point, the moment when the Guardian came to bless us, to release its vigil, to give us its protection in the form of an ancient stone statue. The moment when we learned that Newman's journey, the train journey with Sophie, the distance crossed, the new life begun, had been watched over all along. Tomorrow would be Christmas Eve. There would be more preparations, more small celebrations, more of the gentle magic that fills these short winter days. And then Christmas Day itself, and the beginning of the light's return. But tonight we had witnessed something rare and beautiful. A crossing over, a homecoming, a completion. a blessing on all journeys that lead to love, on all guardians who watch from afar, on all travelers who find their way home. Dear listener, our story is complete now. You have traveled with us through 3 nights, 3 parts of a tale, through mystery and magic and the quiet miracles that happen when love and patience and attention create a space for wonder. I hope you have found some peace in our story, some gentleness, some reminder that the world holds more than we can see, that magic lives in the ordinary, that home is both a place and a feeling, and a choice we make every day. May your sleep be deep and dreamless, or full of good dreams, whichever you need tonight. May you wake tomorrow with a sense of possibility, of gentleness, of magic waiting in the corners of your day. May you find, like Newman found, the place where you belong. And may that place be filled with warmth and love and companions who see you, truly see you for what you are. May you have, like Sophie has, a family that you choose and that chooses you back. May you be watched over by guardians, seen and unseen. May you know in your deepest self that you are home. And may your Christmas, whether you celebrate it or not, be full of the quiet magic we've shared here. The magic of snow and candlelight and stories told by cats. The magic of belonging. The magic of journeys that lead to love. The magic of home. From Newmansland, from an old stone house by the sea in Brittany, from Newman and Rookie and Termi and Rizo and Sophie and Argente and the guardian who rests now in stone. We wish you peace. We wish you magic. We wish you home. Bonne nuit. Sleep well, dear friend.